UI. And if you are a Java full stack developer, I think you can agree on the idea that it's usually the REST APIs you get to do. So you don't get further than that. So it's the REST APIs, and then someone else in the front-end team is consuming it. And of course, there is good reason for that. So the front-end tooling is quite a few different kind of syntaxes these days. So you have the different scripting languages, you have different ways of structuring the view, and then you have different tooling on top of that to make it even more complicated how you build the UI. And if you are building a feature in an application, and you need to master all of this until to the backend, so it's easily very much to handle. So that's why we see this split between the front end and the backend teams. But our philosophy in Vaadin is slightly different. So we can fairly say that that's a wrong split. You shouldn't use that kind of technical split in your teams, but you should rather think of in verticals, so that one team can deliver one feature from the database to the UI. And that's where Vaadin comes in. So you could think Vaadin like UI tool for the backend guys. So if you know Java, you can build the UI. And I guess that's best with an example. So this is the hello world. So that's where we start. Actually, this is a little bit more than a hello world. Who has seen this kind of Vaadin code like this before? All new. Okay, I'll explain it thoroughly then. So this is one view made with Vaadin framework. So it's one Java class extending some layout from our library. In this case, horizontal layout, so you can all guess that it's putting things side by side. And then what you put there? Actually, I think I had annotations here. Yeah, okay. The first thing first. It's a web application, so there is the route annotation. That's actually a Spring Boot or CDI annotation that the container catches, and when it's putting up the server, it's publishing this class as a view in the web server. So nothing else is needed to put that into web application. Horizontal layout, and then the UI component. So very typically you create some of the components in the constructor of the view. So you populate the view basically when it's created. And then you have the other way around. So now we are presenting the components, but the other way around, there are events coming from user. You can listen for those. Just a normal click listener in this case, and we are showing a notification, so we are modifying the UI there. And then there is some basic styling, alignments, and lastly we are adding them to view. This is actually something that people always forget, including myself, that when you're coding, that I just create the component instances, but they are not anywhere yet. They are not put into any layout. So if you are old enough like me to program something in Swing, you find this very familiar. So it's very close to the idea that the desktop programming paradigm has. And that's where we actually started. So the company is nothing new. So we started already in the year 2000. There was no JavaScript back then. So it was a slightly different framework, but the APIs are quite similar compared even now. So the idea is holding time quite, because text fields and buttons, they predate the internet. They weren't invented by the front-end guys, so they were invented in the 70s or somewhere. We are just different implementations of those. how you use them in an application level, that's usually also stays the same. So what can you do with the button? You can click that, you can listen to a click of a button and so forth. So it doesn't really on the logical level change too much over time. And that's a good thing for humans. Let's see what the AI will bring, but humans like the user interface to be intuitive and understandable. But what you don't see here is the front-end stuff, and that's all taken care of by the Vaadin framework. So you don't need to worry about it. So yeah, so this is a little bit about our philosophy. So how we think of things. We shouldn't ever start anywhere else but the end user. So when building programs, even though you're in the backend, I think the end user is still the only person saying that is this a good application or not. So the end users are deciding how good we are. And they have their preferences, of course, what they like and how they should look like. And yeah, I'll get back to this. How do we think about this? But that's us. That's you building the application, and behind there, the fighting with teams is just a thing that we see when you do this technical split in the teams. So you are not building the same thing anymore. You are fighting with each other, and you are not really delivering something for the happy user here. And usually the user isn't happy after that if it's too much fight. But we try to provide this tooling for the developers so that the applications could meet the end user requirement. So yeah, I think this is somewhere from our vision slide. So this is really a company vision level stuff. So, but back to the open source framework. How does the tool work? This has also changed over time. Like I said, it's not a new framework, but we have changed the implementation, and I think this explains how we are even able to do that, changing the implementation for 20 years and still doing the same kind of APIs. So if you think of Vaadin application or UI, a single view, you can think it as a one component, or you can think it with the route annotation, you make it as a view when it has a URL. But everything is a Java class, everything is composed out of those Java classes. And then you get back to the Java patterns that should you inherit, or should you compose, or how should you combine these components. But we can discuss that together more in deeply. That's an opinionated area. Anyway, so on the server side, we have these Java classes, and on the client side, nowadays what we have is HTML. And this is a funny thing for me, because we started somewhere in 2002. We started with HTML. There was no JavaScript. Then we added some JavaScript. Then came Ajax, and suddenly we could do some micro updates in the UI. And then we switched to Google Web Toolkit because it was doing some cool Java to JavaScript compilation, and that was really fancy. We loved Java, and we could do the front end all in Java. But the designers didn't like that, so we have to take them on board, and we switched new technology in 2015 or so, which was custom elements, and we were using lit to build our components. But effectively, custom elements, they are HTML. So we are back full circle. So we started with HTML, now we're back in HTML. But the thing is that this is one component. It actually says add-on. I can explain about add-ons also, but it's any Vaadin component. They are like this. So and I think they have another picture. Yeah, this one. So this is more closely what we do, how we do our components. There are other ways of doing it, but we have a TypeScript implementation of the custom element on the browser, and then we have the Java implementation on the server, and these communicate back and forth. The usual communication is HTTP, HTTPS, hopefully these days, or WebSockets. I could even recommend that put on the WebSockets immediately. So if it doesn't work, then switch back to HTTPS. I'm not sure why you shouldn't use WebSockets these days, but default is still HTTP, and that means that when a user does something, it sends an event to server where it updates the component state. Component can update its own state or send events to another components updating their state, and the framework communicates it back to the client, and this goes on and on. So it's micro updates on component level, and now you can see what if we can change this implementation without touching the API on the server side at all. So that gives you flexibility on the implementation side. So it's not easy to make the front end stuff. So there's a lot of effort to put there, and it's not easy to make a Java API. So it's good to keep them in a high quality, but you can balance what you do on the client side. You can balance what you do on the server side on a single component. And that's our work. Basically, if you have seen Vaadin, most of think Vaadin as a component framework. So we have these components. We have maybe I could even show this, but I can show them later, so I don't need to switch this. But this is from our web page. So we have data entry components like text fields, buttons, date selectors, grids, and those are the Java components that you use, that you saw there in the small code example, where to build the application UI. And then we do things on top of this. We have Figma libraries, and the accessibility is important thing nowadays. So if you are building like a serious application, you usually hit this requirement at some point of time. So they need to be accessible. And since I got my reading glasses, I'm all I think that's a good idea that you think about accessibility a little bit. So, but what we have done, we have after every release we certify the components against the standards, so you don't have to do it for every component. Accessibility is a bit similar than a security, so you can't guarantee the end result by just doing one thing. So while we are doing our part in the accessibility, there is still work to do in the application level that it actually makes sense for the end user. Yes. What's next? Any questions at this point? Yes.
So it's about the impact on the server side. So you said that every change in the status of a component in the UI makes a
server call. Yeah.
This means that the server has a higher number of calls, basically, compared to, let's say, other websites. So have you assessed this? How much
exactly.
is the impact?
Well, yeah, and that's absolutely true. My standard answer in the expo booth where I've been presenting Vaadin is that, have you noticed that Google does the same? So every key press goes to Google. So it's very common these days, and the other thing is that we are spending our time in the video conference calls, sending a little bit more data than these applications. So yes, everything goes to server, and that's where the state is, and there is a good reason for this. That's the only safe environment for the business actions to do on the server side. So because we built this component in the security mindset, that if you do a validation in a Vaadin component, it happens on the server side. You can trust that validation. If you validate that the value in the Vaadin component is something above 0 or something, and so nobody on the browser side can tamper that anymore. So it's happening on the server side. So that's why the business state is always on the server, and how would I say, visual state of the component, that's on the client. But that varies quite a lot. So you can you can throttle these. So if you want to like collect more data on the client side before sending it, so that's also possible, but usually unnecessary. So yeah. Yeah, it keeps it open. Yeah, yeah. Maybe people still think the WebSocket more like in the terms that it's from server to client, and yes, it's also that. So it opens like a new opportunities for Vaadin creating these real-time applications where you can push data from the server and to the browser, but it's also very convenient communication channel. In Vaadin, it's completely hidden from the application code, so you don't see it in the application code at all. You just turn it on or off, and that's it. So the components work the same regardless, and that's actually interesting because how it can be even that transparent even to users is that typically you don't even think about it, but usually anything that happens in the applications, it starts from the user. The user does something. It can be even only moving the mouse, but the user does something, and that's sent to the server, and then you can communicate back. Then you have an open channel already to the client, and you can communicate back to the changes, and that's what we do in Vaadin. Yeah, was there something important here? Yeah, maybe what we touched there, that you don't need to worry about the network. So virtually you are building a desktop application. So if you like to think, and that's where we came from. We came from the world of desktop applications. So how do you move these to web? So this is yeah.
What do you mean exactly with the last sentence? I mean, what happens if the network goes down?
Yeah.
Is there any automatic connection? Or
Yeah. So it tries to reconnect, and of course it might fail totally, but we do have the state on the server, so we can save that if we want to. So we can even make it so that okay, the network went down, the user disappeared, we don't hear about it anymore. Let's save the state and continue when he comes back. So that's one of those. But it's from the application code point of view, it's not visible. You maybe have to think it a little bit when you are building your own components. So then you have to think that what's on the client side and what's on the server side, and should I communicate and when. And I usually have a rule of thumb that if it has a business meaning, if it has like a logical business meaning, do it on the server. So if it's just like an animation state or something like that, it's obviously on the client side. So
you have the choice to do some computation on the client only.
Sorry?
You have a possibility to do some computation.
Yeah.
Client only.
Yeah. You can mix and match these. So you can build like a whole view on the client side if you want to, but then again, so I wouldn't. Yeah, it's a kind of allowing framework, but don't do everything it allows, because then then you don't have any framework anymore. So yeah, maybe that's one of the things to like a philosophy of the. Let's see if we go back here. So or this one. So we don't try to We don't try to get rid of, even though that we allowed Java developers to develop web applications, we don't want to get rid of the web tooling. We just want to abstract it in a way that you don't need to see it every day. You only see it, basically you see it only when you're developing your own components. So if you do that, so I have a small example of that if you're interested. How do you make own components? But good questions. Yeah. So I think we are a bit special framework compared to many other web frameworks. So we know that. We know that. Sure.
From the audience online, is this also something that adapts very well to microservice architecture, or do you recommend it more for kind of like I wouldn't say monolithic, but sort of like a self-embedded applications that are sort of like all in one piece?
the mostly I see these one-piece applications there, but I know our customers are fans of microservices, they use that architecture also. So I'm not sure what would be the right way. One way to think about it would be that, you know, if you have a fully microservice architecture where you have a front proxy, this is close to that architecturally to that front proxy, where the Vaadin application runs. So then you call the internal services from the Vaadin application, but you compose the user interface on the server side. So that's one way of thinking about it. But you can also do it on the client side. So you actually embed multiple Vaadin applications as one big. There was a time where portals were really popular. so we had, and Vaadin was a very good technology for that kind of applications also. But yeah, I don't know. Is anybody doing portals anymore? No. Yeah, I guess so.
But maybe it's like can be, I mean, on the same topic of this question, maybe something like a micro front ends.
Yeah, that's kind of thing. Yeah. But they are niche still, so I wouldn't say that that's the main thing. The mainstream Vaadin application is one monolithic, that they have a high availability setup in place, but then not necessarily even for scaling purposes needed. So. Yeah, that was a new one. So yeah, I always liked the portal idea, but you know it didn't really scale in the real world. So yeah, and maybe that's a good question. What do you actually build with Vaadin? This is one of my favorite, you know, comparisons, because we can compare to desktop applications and web applications, so what are differences in those, but you can also compare different ends of the web application spectrum. So I use the Google as example because everybody knows it, but you know, something that you know is aimed to scale like millions and millions of simultaneous users all around the world. And then we have on the other end of the spectrum is these administrative web applications that are inside the companies that people use on daily basis. They have way more interactivity in those, but the number of users is maybe, I don't know, it might be even 3 or 5 in some cases. So, but so you need some different kind of tooling for this, and I feel a bit unfortunate that the Google-driven tooling is so popular these days because it's meant for that kind of things and not that kind of things. So we try to do these. Most of the applications are like this, and we use the tooling from that kind of architecture. So it ends up creating problems that wouldn't be there at all. But Vaadin is here, and the front-end tooling from React and Angular, they are more on that spectrum. So a different kind of things. So high reusability of components is important here. While there you can put a lot of effort in a single pixel in what goes over the network and so forth. Here you really can't. You can't afford it on the same scale. So you need more sophisticated tooling. And that's why you haven't ever heard of us, because we do these internal applications on the companies, and you know, nobody actually finds them in internet, and the point is that they are not found in internet. So they are typically these administrative applications for documents or store management or things like this. So, but where you clearly have the benefit of the web still, so you don't because web applications are not the only ones. There are still desktop applications in this world. I think we all have Slack or something installed as a desktop application still. So, but okay, they might be even using the web technologies there. But if you have a clear benefit of the reach of the web application, so then it makes sense to use the web technologies, but not publicly or open applications. So what are those? I would argue like 80% of the applications are some kind of CRUD applications. So you have a listing and an editor for that listing. And so who has done something like this? So yeah, most of the things are, you know, listing and editing, listing and editing. Then other category that I often see is some kind of business dashboard. We need to see the data and we need to analyze the data. So these are very typical Vaadin applications also. But this is the history. We are on the verge of the future all the time. So we did a small workshop there in the company, and we tried to, you know, think a little bit further that what do we think that the world is going in the web applications, or exactly in the business web applications, those which are inside the companies, not in the public internet, but internet applications. And these are some of the findings that we made there. So the accessibility was kind of clear indication. I think that's a European thing, so it's coming from the EU to say that everything needs to be accessible, but like I said, it's a good thing. So, collaborative, this is our own idea that the applications will get more and more real-time collaboration. So like in Google Docs, you have seen that you edit it on the same time as with your friend or colleague, and that will become more and more when the applications are more and more online. Linkable, this is more about integrations. So sending a link to a certain point in the application. So we had an era of SPA, single page applications, and Vaadin is a single page application effectively. So we need to, you know, have the way to deep link into certain view or certain data. Device agnostic, okay, it's not maybe anymore like mobile and desktop, but you know, different screen sizes, so everything is responsive. And security, so that's a never-ending story. So yeah, security is never enough. So I think that needs to be all the time the topic. Integrates with chat. Okay, that's similar to the linkable, but there is also this thing. What do they call it? This rich embeds, which you see that you actually see the preview of the data. So how do you do that in the application? So intuitive, fast. These go to the user expectations. AI assisted. Who is doing AI applications? Yeah, I heard there was a few doing. There is two sides of this. So who is using AI when building application? ChatGPT or Copilot or something? Okay, yeah, quite a few. So.
It's perfect for starting.
Sorry?
It's perfect for starting.
Yeah, it is, yeah. Yeah, and we have it also in our tooling. So, so that's but there are two sides. So there is the other side in our case that, you know, how do we enable the users to do applications that are AI enabled? There is a good add-on example in Vaadin directory that there is a form filler, which you can basically load a document. It can be PDF or text document, and it fills a form based on that document. So you don't need to, you know, you have it's asking my addresses and everything. I have it here, and you can drag and drop it here, and it fills in the UI for you. So things like these might be helpful for the user, and beautiful, of course. Why not? That may be my personal thinking that, you know, we should make Java look good. So, you know, even if you start nowadays, Java application, they don't look that good. So we have to do something about it. And we have the tools. So.
It was worse.
Yeah.
Years ago, like for example, the lambda function you showed.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. On the code level, yeah. That's true. So, how to use it in practice? I was thinking that maybe I could now show how to get started. If you want to try it, so you get an idea, and then I can explain other things along the way. So let's see if I switch from the mirroring now. So basically, maybe I showed this one still. So simplicity. We used to have a slogan in these T-shirts that which says "Fight for simplicity." So you know that was really in the genes that we wanted things to be simple to, and that led to thinking that it's one dependency. You take one dependency and then you can build Vaadin application. So how do you take this dependency then? So I don't know how many of you have used this Spring initializer. Is this familiar? Are you? Yeah. Okay. So this is a project configurator. It only configures you the dependencies, nothing else. So it doesn't make you any code. It doesn't make anything else, resources or anything. So it's not doing anything but the dependencies. But you can find a lot of good dependencies. So if you are unsure what to put you into your next Java application, here you can find a good list. And so you can find Vaadin here. You can find validation frameworks here. But let's take Vaadin and make it Vaadin boot demo. Maven, I always use Maven. Gradle seems to be popular. I know nothing about it, so I stay on that. And Java 17 is the oldest Java version that we support with the latest Vaadin version. We still have versions for Java 8, but I hope nobody is stuck in Java 8 anymore. For new project, you are. Oh. Well, okay. Yeah. I think I read somewhere that React is older than Java 8, so you can comfort with that one. So if you're building a React application, it's yes, so you can generate the project here. Actually, I think I had it already because I was testing it out. Yes, now I have two. Well, I opened the old one, so it's very similar anyway. So it creates you a Maven project. Is Maven familiar to everyone? Yeah, I guess so. Nobody survives without. Then IDE, IntelliJ. Let me see. There was something that yeah. So there you need JDK. It comes with one JDK. There was a bug in the latest version of it, so I downgraded. But you need JDK and yeah, Vaadin plugin. Yeah, so you find the Vaadin plugin in the plugin directory. So in here, I have it installed now. So it's a new version. So updated today, so it's probably not working, but let's try. It doesn't do too much, but there is one critical feature that I love to show. So yes, so let's open the project here and import into IDE. It's already crashing. That's fun. You should always update IntelliJ just before the demos. And now I do what? I do this and not reporting it. But let's open it again. Hope for the. It opened it anyway. Okay. Nice. Okay, here we have it. So this is pretty empty. Like I said, it only configures the dependencies. So we have in POM XML we have Vaadin included here. So but we can already run this one. So yeah, this is a new feature. I have to open the file before I can run it. But there is hot swap agent coming up with the Vaadin plugin. So that starts the JVM with the hot swap agent, and that's really nice. If you're not familiar with that one, you will see in a minute. So yes, so it opened even a browser for me. So now I have the application up and running. It was empty, like we expected, because there was no code in it. But in the latest Vaadin version, they were friendly enough. They created shortcuts here to create me the UI, so I don't need to write it. So it actually creates me a small Vaadin UI. The same route annotation to publish it in the root. This time vertical layout, H1 and paragraph. These are some of those fundamental components in Vaadin. So yeah.
Link on a browser,
Yeah.
and it opened a new file inside the directory
created
of
the
the
file,
relative of the
yeah.
package.
Yeah.
Because that is a Vaadin application.
Yeah. So this is we have. I can show you more of this tooling that we have here running in the browser now. So let's. I think I need to restart at this point. But let's see. So now we have it. Now we have it open. So let's put that to right side, and let's put this to left side, so we can see them at the same time. So now we have the home view here. So yeah, so the client and the server, yeah, because we do control the both sides. So we are the full stack dev framework, so we can do that also on the development time. So now with the hot swap agent, I can edit the UI here, and I can save it, and I can see the changes here immediately. So now I can start using Vaadin components. So if I want to add a text field here, I can add a text field here. So now I have text field in. Oh, it was missing the title. So it's fairly fast to develop code in Java code to build the UI, because the Java compilation is extremely fast compared to any front-end compilation. So it's only compiling the Java file. So only time that you need to compile the client-side part of the component is when you're installing a new component, or you're modifying the client-side part of that component. Then you need to run the npm build and the white build. So, but normally you only do the Java compilation, which is really fast. So yes, and what else? Yeah, maybe a little bit about the tooling. So there is a development mode. So Vaadin development, we have, I think it's an extra dependency even, so it's excluded when you go to production. There is this development mode which installs some tooling. You can find the small Vaadin icon in the localhost corner, but it never goes to production code because it's only running in the localhost environment. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Can you show us the HTML?
Sorry? The HTML.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does it look like?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's very good. I think it's. Let me expand that then, so we can see it there. So what you're seeing here is a Vaadin text field.
Okay. So
So that's our custom element. Yeah, that's our custom component, and you know that's what we made as part of the product. So we have like a 100 component in the framework, which are our main. But you can already see here that actually that doesn't tell you, but they are also published in npm.js, so you can use them without the standalone. You can use them standalone if you want to. There are some companies doing that because they do front-end development. They only wanted one component, but they are really optimized for this framework. So yeah.
So if I'm understanding right, it's integrated with Spring Boot, correct?
Yeah, this is now running a Spring Boot application. So yeah, maybe I didn't explain that one. So
How can we interact, for example, with an API because usually a front end.
like
It's coupled with a backend service to exchange data and show stuff.
So most typically, if you want to use a service here, so I don't know.
Okay, so
I can make a newsletter service here. I'll just create something. Let's put it in the demo. So now we have and I annotate with service.
okay, so directly with the service.
Yeah, because I'm in the server, I can inject the service. And now if I don't know, what do we put here? New button. Let's try what the Copilot gives us. It gives us subscribe button. This is GitHub Copilot. So yeah, okay.
Okay, so we don't need to expose any API.
You don't need to. You can, of course, but it's a Java application. You can do anything you can do with in Java. You can call REST services, and people do that. So they have separate REST services, and then they call it from here. But if you already have the services as service beans, you can use them in the UI. So that's one of the big benefits. So you don't need to, have them. And again, the philosophy that you should be building the feature from top to down, and one feature, and not splitting by technological layers too much. But yeah, so now I can call my subscribe method here. I don't know what should I put. I shouldn't now. Yeah, a good point here. I shouldn't call anything UI related from the services because these should be kept separate from the UI implementation. I want to use these maybe in some other UI or some other environment. So maybe a logger. Maybe we log. Let's see, subscribed. That's good. So I'm guessing that the hot deployment doesn't survive that one, so I restart it. So what did I do in the new classes are usually problematic. Yeah, okay. New classes. As long as I'm editing inside one file, I'm reloading one file. But if there is a new file coming in, it doesn't really. But there are different tools for that. We use JRebel also at some point of time, and I think that survives of new classes also. But that's a commercial tool, so it's. So now we actually calling the service here, unknown logger subscribed, and of course we can pass. We should have passed the email there, of course. So doesn't make sense now. Yeah.
How can we modify the base styling and
Styling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. So I can show you there are several ways. So it's HTML. I don't know if I have. Does it have a theme here so we can? Yeah, we have styles CSS here. So
Directly with the CSS.
yeah, yeah. So and that's something that we pay attention in our components. We can't say about third-party components, but with our components we have very clear split that what is done in CSS and what done in code. And again, this thinking that if it has business meaning and there shouldn't be like setting green in the code. You can do that. I don't show it to you because you will do it, but instead you should be setting set class name to accepted or something like that, and then in the style sheet do whatever is needed. So
it's not recommended to apply styles directly from Java code.
No, yeah, keeping those separate is good. But of course there are scenarios that you need to actually you have a numeric value of the color in the database. You need to apply that in code. So you want to build something like that, but then it's a very special case. If it's like styling for the application, better to do it in CSS. Yeah.
Remind me the UI kit framework from using in Swift application.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't recall exactly how was it there, but
You can build the UI by declaring stuff, components.
yeah. All right. So what? Yeah, you can change the styling. So there you can activate the Copilot. So don't get fooled. I don't know why they named it Copilot, but it's not AI. There is some AI, but it's not only AI. So it's mostly actually everything else. So you can see the structure of the UI here, and you can even edit it. So if you need another button here, you can add another button here, and what it does, it edits your code, so it changes the code. So that's something, again, a bit philosophical, but we don't like the low-code platforms. We like the tooling that they bring, but we don't like the low-code platforms. We want to own the code. We want to see the Java code. So that's what we are creating here. Maybe the limitation with that approach is that it's usually one way. So I can't go from the code to, I can do round trips very easily. I can only edit there, but it's very handy if I need to change. I've noticed that there's a wrong title here, so I can change the title here, and I don't need to look it in the code. So now it changed and apparently the indentation is not still quite there yet, but this is pretty new for us, so I'm excited about this one. And the most common thing, you want to add a click listener with the beautiful lambda here. So yeah. so then you can do something here. What are you? Notification show. This is the standard in Vaadin, so you always show a notification or something. Yes. And now if I turn the Copilot off, I can click the button and I can test it how it works. And so it's actually the application that is running there. It's just in the design mode. What else? There are plenty of features here. So let's. Well, yeah, okay. I'll show the AI feature. So you can do small things that if you want to do something like change. Oh, that's capital. Change button background to red. Keep contrast. So now it's calling. I think it's calling OpenAI services to get the suggestions from there. It applies some validation on the code, so there is a RAG. For those who work in AI know what RAG is. So it's saying, I wouldn't say it kept the contrast though, but That's AI for you. So, but it did change the background color. Yeah.
Do you just integrate with Spring or also with other web frameworks?
Vaadin itself, yeah, that's a very good question. Vaadin itself is Java only, so there is no Spring dependencies in Vaadin. It's our tooling. We use a lot of Spring stuff in the tooling, so it's some of these tools needed. But you can run the Vaadin applications anywhere with it's technically it's just a servlet, so you can run wherever you can run servlet. So. Tomcat, Jetty, those are the most typical ones that I see.
So I just need to import it in the POM XML with the core and the Maven plugin, and that's it.
Yeah, basically, and there are starters for, you know, if you want to use a CDI environment instead of Spring environment, so or Jakarta EE environment. So there are starters in. So it's just our tooling that uses the Spring. It's handy. There is so much things in there that, you know, it's hard to avoid.
I'm terrible at doing front-end stuff, so I want to try it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that, you know, Vaadin provides you, that you can do the UI without really. You get decent UI with our components already. So if you are happy with the management UI with our components, I can show those in the documentation. So if you look at components, if you need a date picker in your application UI, it's fairly complex to do something and fairly hard to use if it's some other, but you can copy the Java code from here and then go back to your home view and import and then where was our it was running in localhost, so we have the date picker up and running already. So these components that what do I have here? Where was it? Now I lost my tab. Okay. Latest components. So just to give an idea what there are in the framework. So
Those are all already pre-made components.
Yeah, these are made by us. So we have our own set, and like I said, the accessibility standard, which I'm really proud of. That you know because I think this is something that nobody wants to do anyway. So we checked all the components against accessibility standards, and you can see whether it works or not. Some doesn't make sense with some accessibility rules, but that's another story. But you don't need to do this, and this is for our components. But then there is this directory, which I find where nowadays. Okay, I found it here. It's nice that they change our website every now and then. It says barely over 2,000 components there. I don't think that's fair. It's not real, because there are some components are duplicates for different Vaadin versions throughout the years, but there is plenty of third-party components that people have built, and the idea is similar. That if you want to use something like PDF viewer in your application, you can see how it looks like. You can find an example code which is in Java here, so you can copy paste this into your application, and then you can get the POM dependency for this add-on component. So you can install it as a dependency and then start using it in Java. So you don't need to know how it's implemented, the client server stuff, and it's responsibility of the component author. This is our component factory, which is basically they are contributions from our customers. They don't want to maintain those themselves. Yeah.
I have a lot of questions.
That's why we're here.
The first one very easy.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the data is coming from the browser server through WebSocket.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a small paragraph with a text updated.
Yeah.
What you get back from the server, the full
Oh.
paragraph or only the string, the text which somehow is inserted in the right place in the page, in the DOM?
Yeah, we don't get the ready-made DOM. It's JSON-based protocol that we have. So we have our own protocol called UIDL, User Interface Description Language. Okay. Don't ask. So that's predates this version. But it used to be XML description. It's very close what was in the Firefox had this description language for their UI. I don't know if anybody knows about that one, but you could build Firefox UI with this XML-like syntax, and this was similar, but that was way beyond JSON became popular, so we switched to JSON, so it's lightweight now, and it's only the granularity a little bit depends. Usually it's one component at time, so it's sending one component.
The full component or only the
full component. So in the paragraph case,
updated.
yeah. So this component updated here yesterday. But in complex components like a grid, where there is built-in lazy loading in the grid, so virtually on the server side you bind the whole data set to grid, but it doesn't load everything to browser. It only loads to browser what the user scrolls and sees. Oh, okay. So hopefully we didn't lose anything. This was apparently without power. Everything good. Okay. So that's where was I?
If you have going back to your example, if you have a grid server with dozens of cells, you update only one cell.
Yeah. So
what get
I think in that case it will be it will be the one row of the grid. Yeah. But that's a good case because it kind of the component designer can decide. So it can be smaller pieces or it can be, but for sake of simplicity, I'd like to think that it's one component. So this component is updated and this component is updated, and that's it. So and when you're navigating between different views, it's the whole view and all the components in the view which is updated. So it's a little bit more. But the data itself, that's not the whole DOM. We're only sending the the metadata that hey, add this component, add this component. So it's a lightweight.
Okay.
Yes.
Couple of more questions. Also, can you mix and nest layouts in views?
Sorry?
Can you mix and nest layouts in view?
Yeah, absolutely. And but don't do it too much. so I've been fixing some customers who got really excited about creating horizontal, vertical layouts, and you end up with a deep structure with that one. And usually it's because how applications are developed. So I don't think they did anything wrong there. They just evolved over time. But you should be able to simplify it at some point. So we can probably see here. This is vertical layout. So if we put the button, let's put the date picker and text. What did we have here? We have a button. Let's put those, and we should be able to see them. Oh, where did I put? I forgot what I was doing. I was about to put the horizontal layout there. But there are different layouts in Vaadin. So simplest one. Okay, the layout is not nice. You could use like div. So you find the basic HTML elements there. So now there is no layout from Vaadin coming in, it's just a div where you put the stuff. So then you need to take care of everything else yourself. Yeah.
And the question is there already components to manage authentication of users in the sense of managing the life cycles of the users?
In Spring Boot, the Spring authentication framework is really good. So we use that. So you can put there annotated that this view is for this user. For login part, we have a commercial product where you can even manage the users and you do the integration to Okta and real environments like this. But I'm thinking what I would use. Maybe I would use OAuth with Google authentication or something like that. So that would be simple. Yeah.
Speaking of animation, how could we interact with the animation related to the UI components? If we want to change our component behavior on certain user action.
Sorry, you want to change a component?
For example, if we tap in a div custom made with HTML, JavaScript, you on a tab you can enlarge that div to show some text hidden before the tapping. Is it possible to do it with the?
So sounds like a CSS thing to me, but I'm not sure if that. So applying a CSS classes and doing the transitions there. That's what I was maybe doing. But does that apply? Did I get it correctly?
Yeah, because also with JavaScript.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Interact also with the DOM and.
Yeah, and you know, you want to. Okay, okay. You ask for this, but you know, so that you know, there, you can do different things. So let's do like a date picker. I wouldn't really recommend because you can access an element here. So this is the virtual HTML element that if you want to send specific things there, you can call JavaScript from there. By now I'm taking the date picker element, so I can call JavaScript from the date picker element, or I can put their attributes or things like this, set the CSS and styling. So this is the low-level API. I don't usually present this because now we are bypassing the whole abstraction, and using these in the application level is maybe not the way to go. So when you are creating your own components, it's very good and maybe recommended even do there inside your components. But on the application level, they should be hidden and not visible on that level at all. But you can bypass the whole abstraction if you want to. so that gives you the possibility to do anything in the DOM. Yeah. So that's the DOM object then. So, but yeah, forget what I said. I delete it. That's not the benefit of the framework. It's maybe therefore because too often we see also that we came up with a good idea that this is how it should be made, and then there was some user or customer saying that hey, we actually want to do it this way, and there was no way of doing it that way. So we didn't want to disallow everything, but we creating good practices, but allowing the hacks whenever needed. So that was also making our lives easier. We didn't release a new version because of some new features. But yeah, what's the time? I have so much stuff here. So yeah.
One last question or
sure.
two maybe.
Yeah.
Well, how easy is to integrate with the JavaScript library? For example,
yeah.
showed us a pie chart.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to integrate this kind of application with the existing
Existing JavaScript library. Yeah.
How easy it is?
I'll show you an example.
This means that you can control the data from the server and send it to these libraries.
Yeah, exactly. So it's easiest it is if you find this web component in npm.js. Usually you find a web component implementation for JavaScript libraries, but if there are ES modules, you can integrate those too. Then you just have to call the JavaScript for those manually. And I think latest that I saw was a Bluetooth device connection doing something like this. It was a Bluetooth library for certain device and communicating with that. So yes, that's possible. What I did, I actually, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So Lotti, is that familiar? Yeah.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah, okay. You're the first one who knows it. So it's an animation library. So you can create animations, and I'm always for animations.
Mobile application. For
it's very great. Yeah, it's Airbnb project originally, I think, and there is a web player, and the web player you can see how you use it in Vaadin. So this is there is this npm package for maybe I zoom in a bit. So I import the npm package.
Can you use only web component, or can you use also regular JavaScript library?
You can use regular JavaScript library also.
Okay.
Yeah, and I made my own helper, so you can Google for Vaadin JS loader, so you can dynamically load and unload those. But because Vaadin offers this JS module and JavaScript annotations, but these are static. These are not runtime. So if you want to load another library, you need to change the code, and and you know. Either way, this is usually enough if you make components. This is good way, but I had some special case. I don't remember what that. I think it was a mapping library or something. I needed to load dynamically new layers or something, and then I hit this dynamic loading problem. So, but if you do these integrations, this is the way to do it. So you import an npm package. You call the JS module from the package, and here you can see how I communicate with the client side part using the get element. But again, back to the abstraction agenda that I have. So I have a play method in here, and I have a pause method here, which the implementation is hidden here in the Java class. So I don't expose these implementation details to the application, but now I can use this Lotti component in my application. So to play animations. I just wrote a blog post there in Vaadin.com, so if you're interested, yeah.
Do I need some sticky load balancing strategy to work with Vaadin, or is it stateless architecture?
Sorry, I'm not sure if I get. Is it stateless architecture or?
Do I need some load balancing sticky strategy?
Yeah, you do. So that's the thing, and maybe that's even best seen in the. So if you go here, back to this slide. So this is the one view in Vaadin, and you know, in here we are changing the UI. How do we know that it's whose UI we are doing if this is stateless? This is very much stateful. So when the user comes to this URL, in this case it's an empty URL, it creates an instance of this class, and it's a session scoped instance, so it keeps in the server while the user is logged in. Vaadin will clean it up when the session dies, and or you can terminate it, of course, but this keeps in the memory, so until then, and it is indeed one user. If you create a static variable here, that's for all the users. That's in the whole JVM. So that's an easy way to share data with users also if you create a static variable. So, but the instances are per user always, and that maybe if you want to try it and you are excited about it, if you make an application where you have a variable here which loads all the data in the constructor. So all the data in the constructor, then it's in the memory in the session all the time. So all the class variables, they stay in the memory. So keep that in mind. So it's not usually not a problem if you have a reasonable amount of data, and it's maybe good to cache, because this is an easy way to cache it on the UI layer, having it as a variable here. But at the same time, it's consuming memory, and these are the most typical optimizations that I done for customers, so that they didn't know this, but they loaded more and more data to the UI. UI was fast, but it ran out of memory. So
what do you do in that case? You serialize the instance somewhere?
If you need to change the place, you can serialize the instance. I don't usually recommend that. The user session scope is pretty good, and now it's slightly different from the previous versions of Vaadin, also in that sense that if I reload this page, if I reload now, it creates a new instance. So it already cleans up the previous one. So previous Vaadin, you can still turn on the old method where we actually, in the reload, we return the same instance, and that's actually very handy, because it's like magic that how does it keep the state, and it feels like the user would like it to be, but they are not they are using reload as resets these days, so they expect it to be empty after reload. So it's oh, it's still here. So keep reloading it. So yeah, web application reset is reload nowadays, so that's why we changed it, the default. So, but are we running out of time there? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I'll show you one more thing. So because that's a new thing for me, and it's very exciting. So Java developers don't usually like to use Figma, but who is using? You are using Figma, okay. So we have our Figma templates, so you can find Vaadin Figma templates, and if you use those templates, that they have all the Vaadin components in there, so you can design the UI in Figma, and it looks like a Vaadin UI. And if you use those components, you can also do something like this. So here I have few of these designs. This is a form, this is a listing, different kind of listing. But now if I go to my application here, I enable the Copilot once again. So now we have this. Now we have these structures here, and I go to Figma. I copy this one, and I go to for example there, and I paste it here. I got it implemented in Java in my Vaadin application. So it took the Figma design description and imported in here, and it created me the Java code. Okay, without indentation apparently, but it created me the Java code for that Figma design. So this is really powerful if you're a Figma user and you want to create Java applications from Vaadin. So this is the way to go. So, and yeah, there is one feature also that you can. Maybe I have it on my snippets here. So yeah, okay, I'll copy that. So maybe it works magically. So I have this Java record. No, I can't paste it there. Let's put it here. Record. What was the record name? Subscriber. I'll just shortcut this because we are running out of time. So I cheated a bit. I had it done already, but now I have the subscriber record. So it could be Java Bean also, but I can also drag this one here, and it creates me fields for that record. So if you have details already from Hibernate or JPA for somewhere, you can quickly create a UI for those details like this.
It's like building a view directly from the data model.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we see a lot of dynamic UIs. So it's based on the data model completely runtime. There is no Java code for the UI. There is just code to build the UI on the fly. But that's a different kind of approach. It leads to a lot of configuration of the builder, but this generates you the Java code, which you can then edit and own later on and deploy on your own. So slightly different approaches, but very powerful way of creating UI for Java. So yeah, maybe we are running out of time. So I'll conclude with the last slide because I want to tell the story. So this is our logo. The reindeer is not our logo. We have the reindeer T-shirt here. That's our community mascot. So if you want to wear a reindeer, that's there. This is our logo, and there it's also a reindeer if you look closely. Some say it's a bull, but if you look even closer, there is Java, curly brace, and HTML as a bracket there. So that's what we do. So it's already in the logo if you look closely. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much. No, keeping the slide just Sami, because there were many questions, and maybe for if we want to join for a pizza or something to eat, maybe we can continue. For those who wants, we will be going to some pizza place, so we can continue the conversation.
Absolutely, yeah.
For the people that are joining from online, where is the best place to contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
Maybe I would say that go to vaadin.com/forum because you can ping there me, you can find there @Sami and you can ping me there, and you find a lot of other experts there if you have technical questions. I don't know everything about the framework, so there are better experts there. So maybe that one.
Excellent. All right. Thanks again. An applause for Sami.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and if you have more questions, I'll be around. So.